Good evening, Guardians, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Short Pause Presents Tower Talk. I'm Ben, on the other side of the microphone. That's Brent. You know who we are. We're here on behalf of Short Pause. If you like what we do here, make sure you visit us on our website, www.shortpause.com. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you always know when we go live. If you want to be a part of our live show, definitely hop into the comments, say what's up. We love interacting with each and every one of you. Brent, how are you this fine evening?
Good, man. I'm a little tired today. It's been a long day. Started hitting the gym last night, so my body is like ready to shut down. But I'm ready to talk some Destiny 2. We've got some stuff to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. So Tower Talk, if you've never watched us before, is our Destiny-focused video discussion series where Brent, you and I hop on here and we talk any and everything in the world of Destiny, and we have a damn fine time doing it. Myself personally, I'm a little bit under the weather right now, so if I sound different or I sound weird, or weirder than normal, I guess, I apologize. I will do my best to power through this show and give you guys my my effort here. But Brent, I wanna start things off. So actually, let me preface the show with this. So I have been just inundated with life since Forsaken came out. So Forsaken came out, played a few hours, ended up having to go on a road trip for my job. So I was on a business trip for the last week. As soon as I got back, I came down with this illness. My son had contracted strep throat when I was gone, so I came back. I'm sick now. I don't know whether or not I have strep. The initial quick test came back negative, but the accurate one, I'm gonna get the test results back tomorrow. So we'll see what the case is with that. But regardless, I'm under the weather right now. I feel like weak. Just got that sick feeling, that really just irritating sick feeling. So. Like after the show, I would love to just sit down and play Iron Banner for 3 hours, but I just don't have the energy to do it right now. I haven't had the energy to play Destiny all week, so I have not played Forsaken since the last time we had an episode of Tower Talk. And if you're doing the math, Brent, I was gone last week, so we haven't done a Tower Talk in 2 weeks. I've barely touched Forsaken since it came out. I mean, I'm incredibly irritated about that. I'm disappointed, but I'm trying to get better so that I can spend some time this weekend like diving into it, really sinking my teeth into it. But this is not the case for yourself. So at the top of the show here, Brent, I want to get your impressions of where you are at in Forsaken right now. You're quite a bit further than I am. You've played way more than I have at this point. You are in the Dreaming City. I want to know your thoughts as we stand right here and right now. What are you feeling about Forsaken? How are you enjoying it? Give me your thoughts on the Dreaming City, spoiler free. And then at some point in the future, I'm sure I will arrive at the Dreaming City, and we can have a proper discussion about this. But just general impressions of Forsaken at this point, especially your thoughts on the Dreaming City.
Sure. First of all, Jacob, what's up? Jacob's in the chat tonight.
What's up, Jacob?
Overall, I mean, for Forsaken, in terms of its narrative from the story, it was amazing. It was absolutely excellent. Hunting down the Barons, all the Barons and their different mission types were incredible. Really had a blast playing it. The final encounter is incredible. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to digest in terms of the story. But yeah, then once you complete that, we thought maybe, oh, cool, we can just hop into the Dreaming City, but that wasn't the case. You have to complete a couple of other tasks to actually gain access to the Dreaming City. But once you get there, dude, the Dreaming City is absolutely incredible. It's probably my favorite play space ever of all Destinies. I mean, it really is everything we had hoped it was. It's mysterious, but it's also massive in scale. It's beautiful to look at. I'm still wandering about, finding new areas. I actually tried doing the ascending challenge today. And that is something I just learned about. I didn't realize you could do it, and that is incredibly challenging. But it's just one of the many things that you can discover in the Dreaming City. It's just an incredible area to explore. The Blinding Well, that's a sweet event. It's very much like the Archon Forge or Court of Oryx. Just an amazing event to play. It's super fun. It's very challenging, but there's a lot of stuff. I think I'm up to 526 or 527. And there's still a lot of things that I'm a little bit underpowered, but I can still compete in. Like the ascending challenge was very, very difficult. I got to the final boss, but it's hard when you die there because you leave the area and have to go back in and try again. But it's very challenging. But overall, it's just an incredible place to explore, dude. There are so many things that you bump into, and you're like, what's this? What does this lead to? And then you find random things around and you don't know what to do with them. It's been an awesome experience, but it'll be a lot better when I get you in there with me, because there's a lot of things that you can accomplish with somebody else And I think you and I would have a lot of fun in the Dreaming City for a stream, especially just exploring all the nooks and crannies of the area.
Yeah, dude, it's just eating me up inside that I have not been able to to really sit down and play this game and get to the Dreaming City and start to explore the end game of this game. I'm still very early on in Forsaken. I've still got a lot to do with this game, obviously, and yeah, it's just, man, I would love to just sit down and play the game right now, but you just have that feeling where you're just like, man, I just don't feel like doing anything. I just want to go up, lay in bed. That's all I want to do right now, and I hate that. I hate that feeling. It's impossible for me to enjoy playing a game with that feeling. So I'm trying to just rest up, get better, and then I promise you, though, I will be in the Dreaming City sooner rather than later, and we'll be tackling this stuff. We'll be having a good time. We'll be making our way towards participating in the Last Wish at some point in the not too distant future here. Speaking of the Last Wish, Brent, let's talk about this raid for a second. So obviously, you and I have not played the Last Wish. You and I, quite honestly, are not close to playing the Last Wish. This thing, it sounds incredibly challenging. Obviously, I think the recommended light level is 550, but that's, even that it's a stretch. Sounds like to compete in the raid at that point. So we've got a long way to go before we really have a viable team that we can take into the Last Wish. But man, your thoughts on what we've heard about this thing so far. So as we've talked about previously, our goal with the Last Wish is to go in here and make a blind run at this raid. So we haven't watched any videos. We didn't watch the world's first race or any of that kind of stuff. But we hear the aftermath. So almost 19 hours it took to get the world's first raid run out of Last Wish, which is absolutely incredible, man. If you take into account the fact that the last raid, Leviathan, which was a beefy raid, dude. Like we just were able to beat that recently. That's how difficult that raid was. It took them just under 6 hours to beat the Leviathan on the first go at it.
Wow.
The Last Wish, it took them 3 times as long to complete this raid with the first run of it. And this thing just sounds absolutely epic, dude. From puzzles to just ridiculous boss battles, this sounds like the ultimate pinnacle Destiny activity. Dude, when you're seeing people talk about this raid and you're hearing all the stuff about it and the 19 hours and everything that goes in this, what's going through your head, man?
Well, first of all, there was a lot of people on there that were on Twitter, especially, that were talking about the raid that had played through it and the way they described it. I mean, obviously there are boss battles everywhere. There's heavy mechanics to it, but the thing that I kept seeing most of these people talk about that really struck a chord with me was the fact that how much it tested their resolve as a team. And everyone doing their job, and if the slightest error was made, it meant defeat, and you had to start over. And it was just, that's the one thing I love the most, and it's actually kind of the thing that terrifies me the most, because we're going to have to really bring our A game to beat this raid. This isn't something where you can go in there and just kind of like, make a couple of mistakes and still come out on top.
Your way through it.
Yeah, like you really have to be at the top of your game. You have to be alert, aware of what you're supposed to be doing or where you're supposed to be doing it. And that to me is really, really exciting. I love that fact that we could go in there with our team. We've actually got a team assembled. We're all just kind of ranking up to get to where we need to be. But these guys, we're all motivated. We're all excited to get in there. But this is going to be a raid that's going to test our resolve as a team. It's going to test our patience. It's going to test our tempers. But we're going to have to keep our wits about ourselves and really focus on what we're supposed to be doing with each encounter as we get through this raid. But, yeah, man, I mean, it sounds like this is the raid of all raids for Destiny 2. It is by far the most challenging, most mechanically it's super difficult in terms of its mechanics. It just sounds, dude, I just want to get in there and do it with you guys. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but it will be challenging, but that's what we want from a raid.
Yeah, like we talked about this a million times over the last 4 years, but one of the greatest experiences in gaming is going into a raid, not knowing what to expect, and then you and your team working together to try and figure out what it takes to get through that challenge, get through that puzzle, get to that next step in the raid. Like, there's nothing like it, man. First time we did the Vault of Glass, I was like, what is this? I've never played anything like this in my life. And that kind of feeling just continued on through the last 4 years through these Destiny raids. And just to your point, man, just reading what some of the people are saying about this raid. So for instance, Triple Wreck, popular Destiny streamer, he had this to say about The Last Wish. The Last Wish is without a doubt one of the finest gaming experiences ever crafted. Bungie has elevated an already phenomenal expansion by eclipsing all their previous efforts with the scale and challenge of this raid. a triumphant masterpiece. Completing Last Wish for the first time had my heart legit beating faster than Riven's. Holy hell, what a phenomenal raid. Literally everything about it is perfect. From the music to the storytelling to the challenging mechanics. Just incredible. I mean, you know, and this is the sentiment throughout the community. You know, people that have had a chance to experience the Last Wish are singing its praises. In fact, they have a on This Week at Bungie, they had a post from Clan Redeem, who was the team to actually get the world's first in this at around the 18-hour mark, just under 19 hours for this ridiculous like marathon stream that they had to do to try to conquer this raid. And it's really interesting. So they had this to say: Last Wish was everything we as a clan could have wanted out of a world's first race, and more. A grinding experience with massive ups and downs, incredible challenges, and a true test of mental fortitude. This was the first raid we've ever done in which we learned more than just mechanics. We learned about our own resilience, that we could never give up, no matter how bleak the situation seemed. Getting to the boss room almost 6 hours after the other teams was demoralizing. That's the crazy thing about this.
Yeah, that's just hilarious.
These guys arrived to the last encounter 6 hours after the other teams were in there, like beating their head against the wall, trying to get through this thing. That's incredible. And it had us on the verge of collapsing as a team. We knew this was the moment we had to step up or let the race slip away from us. We pushed through the exhaustion and started playing to each member's strengths. We want to thank all teams that attempted the raid on day one. Without your fierce competition, it wouldn't have been as intense. A big thank you as well to anyone who came out and supported us during this nearly 19-hour marathon. It means more than you could ever imagine. End quote from Clan Redeem there. I mean, when you see what Triple Rex talking about, you see what Clan Redeem is talking about, you see what just the Destiny community at large is talking about the Last Wish raid, man. Like, how does that make you feel, dude? You getting like the juices start to flow, and you're like, I got to get in and play this thing.
Yeah, I'm excited and also intimidated because, you know, I feel like we have a good group. Once we get in there and work stuff out, everyone's got like a different personality type in a raid. But it's going to, like you said, it's going to be very challenging. We're going to have to really work as a team, and everyone's going to have to do their part. But that's the point of a raid. You know, I love that. That's the point of a raid, that you go in there, you win together, you lose together, and you learn from it, and you go back in and you try it again. And this sounds like I said, this sounds like the ultimate challenge. That's what I want from a raid. I want the ultimate challenge. I want it to be difficult. I don't want everyone that can just go in there and beat it. You know, it's like that line from A League of Their Own that Tom Hanks says, man. It's seriously my favorite part. He's like, what's he say? He goes, if it's hard, of course it's hard. If it was easy, everyone could do it. The hard is what makes it great. And that's exactly how I feel about the raids. I want it to be difficult. I don't want to go in there and just get a walk through the park. I want to get my ass kicked, because when you do finally beat it, it's extremely rewarding.
Well, it sounds like you got your wish with Last Wish, because you know, we're talking about the best Destiny players in the world. Like, these are the guys competing for world's first. These are the guys that it's taken 19 hours. So when it comes to our group, not the best Destiny players in the world, we can comfortably add some hours on top of that for our first experience.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's interesting you mentioned this, Brent. This is going to take me into my next point here. But there's this topic of discussion in the Destiny community right now surrounding Last Wish and its difficulty. So only 18 people completed the Last Wish in the first 24 hours, and 750 in the first 3 days. So this is up against like thousands, 4,500 that completed Leviathan in the first 24 hours. So that's to give you an idea of the discrepancy here in the two raids. So there is one side of the coin where you have like Clan Redeem and Triple Rec, and really the majority of the hardcore Destiny community that I've seen are incredibly excited about this idea of an actual endgame activity that's a legitimate endgame activity. Like, this is the pinnacle activity in Destiny, as it should be. It's a raid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the ultimate activity in this game. There should be nothing harder. There should be nothing above this activity. And the Destiny community at large understands that. They get behind this. They're excited about it. But there are some people that are not fully on board with this. So just to set the stage here. So a couple more quotes from Clan Redeem. This is from Modern. The raid should be difficult even for the best players in the game. Indica had this to say: an actual endgame activity that is hard to complete and suits the definition of the hardest activity in the game is something people can look forward to completing and earning the loot and rewards that are worthy of the feat. So, this is once again just a snapshot of the community at large thing. And Modern went as far as to say he's beyond happy with the amount of time it took to complete. This was a guy that played for 19 hours straight to try and beat this thing. Beyond happy with the amount of time it took to complete. So, there's other things that go into this as well. So just to get a few other perspectives in here. So this is, what is this guy's name? Johnny's from the Destiny forums. King's Fall released 2 weeks after the DLC, was it not? Last Wish was released a week too early for many. It would have been nice to have been able to play on the day of release, but even after putting 60 plus hours since the DLC, I was nowhere near high enough to play it. This is what Doc Zepp had to say. The Last Wish raid is really interesting, but ultimately too difficult for 99% of Destiny players. Will be near impossible to LFG or Sherpa successfully. I don't agree with that. While Forsaken is fantastic, I wish we could have had a more accessible raid experience like Vault of Glass or Crota's End. This is from Justin Burke. My biggest issue is that a lot of us were let down because there were no expectations set for the raid. Half of my clan wasn't even close to being able to participate, which meant the ones who could weren't able to find a solid group to play. I was looking forward to at least checking the raid out, but there wasn't much I could do to raise my power level that quickly. Weren't we promised that we would see many activities to raise power level? Unless I'm running multiple characters and playing all hours of every day, there's no way I could get that much power in 1 week. Oh well, end quote. So Brent, we've got two ends of the spectrum here, and I'm very curious your thoughts on this. So we've got, like I said, the majority of the hardcore Destiny community that I've seen, incredibly excited at the challenge that the Last Wish holds. A subset of this community, some of them hardcore Destiny fans, many of them maybe lean more towards, I don't want to say casual. It's hard to be a casual Destiny player, but maybe a guy that doesn't play Destiny for 10 hours every single day. Like these guys sound like they're a little bit disappointed with the challenge level that's gone into this. Where do you stand, sir?
Well, man, it's a Destiny community, and there's always going to be those who are unhappy that are going to complain and cry about things. Some of it justified. This I don't feel is justified. There is a lot to do in there to earn power level. There is a lot to do. I mean, yeah, some of it doesn't show up on the director, but there are things to do in there, like the Ascendant Challenge. You grab that bounty. If you complete the Ascendant bounty for the Pursuit for the Week, that's a powerful engram. There's a lot of stuff you can do for powerful engrams.
There's a lot.
Yeah, you have to go and look for it. Just because it doesn't show up on the director as one of the daily or weekly challenges does not mean there's no other powerful loot. If you hunt down one of the wanted guys that Spider has, the top guy, that's powerful engram. I think Petra has 2 pursuits that'll give you powerful engrams on top of all the weekly and daily bounties. Yes, there is plenty to do in terms of getting your power up. You have to commit the time to do it. And the thing is, that's what we've been bitching about for Bungie. We wanted something to do. We wanted to have a grind back. Well, guess what? You've got your grind back. We've got our grind back. That's what we wanted. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to grind. If I can't get into it during the world's first at the same time as everyone else, I'm not going to piss and moan about it. I mean, those people, they play Destiny 2 for a living. I don't. I accept that. I understand what Destiny is. It's a game where I'm going to go and play for a long time. It's going to take me a while to earn the power that I need to do certain events. That comes with the territory. That's what Destiny is. I don't want to have access to the raid in the first week. Because, I mean, seriously, I know I'm at 525. I have a long ways to go to get to 550. I got a lot of stuff I got to do. But guess what? I like doing a lot of stuff that I have to do to get that power. I like going out there and doing the bounties. I like going out there and working on the Ascendant. I like going out there and playing Gambit. I like playing Crucible. I like doing all that stuff during the week. And I'm going to earn my powerful engrams, and I'm going to rank up as I go. But to sit there and say that we need the raid to be easier, that's nonsense. Because then once we start powering through the raid because it's easier, then here we go. Oh, not enough to do.
Yep.
So, I mean, hey, if I get into the raid with my squad and we don't win it that week and the reset happens, guess what? I have a whole raid I have to play through again, and I have to get better at it. And if I'm not strong enough, guess what? I have a ton of ways to get powerful engrams. I'm going to go out there and grind. Destiny 2 is a grindy game, folks. You bitched about it. They responded. They gave us the game we wanted. You can't go back. You can't have it both ways. Okay? It can't be easy and it can't be hard. It's got to be one or the other. And if you want a grindy game, it's got to be hard. Deal with it. Simple as that. I can't stand this nonsense about the raids need to be easier. It's dumb. Fear the Beard in the chat. What's up, brother?
What up, Beard?
Oh, and shout out to Beard. God, there was something I talked to him about. I'll remember it here in a minute, Beard. I talked to Beard about something last week, but I'll holler at him again. Go ahead, boys.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on this, and shout out to IGN for putting this article together that we're reading about, where they're kind of chronicling this debate in the Destiny community. But you said a lot of what Max Tuvi said here. I'm going to read his quote really quick. Why must the raid be beatable by teams on day one? Why can't it be ridiculously hard and a goal to work towards? And that's my question. We just got done talking about the raid as a pinnacle activity in this game. It should be the ultimate challenge. It should be the ultimate end-all in this game. Why can't this be something we work towards? Why is this the thing we have to beat as soon as it comes out? We're not all a part of Clan Redeem out here trying to get worlds first. For the majority of us, for the 99% that this other guy was talking about, for the 99% of us, this is something we can work towards. Something that we can eventually conquer in Forsaken and feel really good about when we finally achieve it. This is something that grinding for the gear, getting our power levels up, and playing all the different activities. This is something we can work towards and when we put in that work, and it's enough to like get us through that raid. Like that's what's really cool about this game, man. Beefing your character up and taking on these end game activities. That's what Destiny's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't get that at all. And I'd be very surprised, Brent, if this was any more than a small minority of people that are asking for the raid to be easier or more accessible or yada yada yada. By and large, the Destiny community that I follow and the Destiny community that I've seen is incredibly happy with the Last Wish. They're incredibly excited about the challenge that it holds, and people are already. I mean, they're figuring out ways to beat this thing, man. Somebody already is soloing the first boss in the raid. So it's like people are figuring this stuff out already,
And I can tell you, it is a small minority of the group because Destin Legary put out a poll on Twitter asking, should the raid be easier? And I mean, when I entered my vote of no, it was like 80% no to 20 yes. Yeah. So, the Destiny community appreciates this. The hardcore community appreciates this. For those that are complaining that it needs to be easier or they're mad because they didn't have the power level, that's on you. Go out and do what you need to do to get the power level. If you don't have enough time during the day, guess what? That's life, dude. No one's going to make extra time for you just so you can get in on the worlds first. Doesn't happen that way.
Dude, we were talking to Wolf about this. It's like, what casual Destiny player is trying to get into the raid on like the first day it comes out? Like, I don't get that. So, if you are that person, I'm sorry, but that's just not how this works. If you haven't figured that out over the last 4 or 5 years, that's not how raids work in Destiny. If you want to get in on that first night, you better be playing all day, every day on all your characters, getting all the gear you can to get into this character, and that's. And that's why these guys are getting special jackets and belts and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work that goes into having the opportunity to be a world's first in the raid. But for the rest of us, we can grind, we can have fun. Destiny's in an incredible place right now. We can have fun playing this game with the just absolute wealth of things we have to do in this game right now. Like you said, Brent, there's just so many ways to get powerful engrams and upgrade your character at this point. Mm-hmm. It's overwhelming whenever I sit down and look at the director and I'm like, man, what do I do?
Dude,
do I go here?
Yeah, I love the fact that powerful engrams will just drop on the battlefield. Yeah. You'll get the prime engram and you look at it, it's like, there's powerful engrams everywhere in this game, dude. They're everywhere.
So one of the other aspects of the Last Wish raid that we, obviously Bungie was talking about prior to this is how this is going to affect the Dreaming City.
Yes.
And we saw that firsthand after the Last Wish was completed. Mm-hmm. And I just think this is super cool, man. So the Last Wish was completed, and true to their word, things have changed in the Dreaming City, or things are changing in the Dreaming City. As I'm not even sure if everything's been found about what's changing with the Dreaming City now that the raid's been completed. But there's there's the Taken Curse is out in the city. There's a brand new strike that's available. Mm-hmm. This is a strike. This is like legitimate content that is releasing at the completion of the raid. A brand new strike, which I hear is awesome. Have not played it yet. A new heroic version of the Blind Well available now as well, which you can get some cool stuff from. A new Gambit map, Cathedral of Scars, which is a sweet name for a map. New quests and patrols are available now. So you've got brand new I think Petra's got a new like mission that you can take on, and there's new patrols all over the city as well that you can be a part of, and all this stuff just because the raid got completed. And if I had to guess, Brand, I would think that this is just the beginning. It sounds like I believe they were talking about a 3-week cycle for the Dreaming City, and we can expect it to change every 3 weeks or so. So, I don't know what the future holds for the Dreaming City, but I better get in there sooner rather than later because I might miss some of the stuff, the way that this thing's going to be changing, and who knows what the future holds. But, there's a lot of talk about this Taken curse that is taking its hold on the Dreaming City. Like, what is this going to do to this place? Like, in 3 weeks, when we step foot into the Dreaming City, is this place just going to be overrun by Taken, and how is that going to affect the city? So there's a lot of interesting possibilities about where we could go here, but this is pretty cool, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Dark Shadow Wolf's in the chat. He said the strike is awesome. He said I think it's called the Corrupted.
The Corrupted,
yeah, the Corrupted or something along those lines. I haven't done it yet, but yeah, he says it's awesome. So I'm excited to go in there and check it out. But yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Heard nothing but good things about that one.
Yeah, once they completed the raid, you go in. There's a cut scene, and then he said Petra's got a mission for you to carry out, and there's just things have changed, and it's just so cool when you hop in the first time. You're like, oh, yep, the raid has been beaten. The city has shifted. There's some different looks to it, and there's just some different events that pop up. And it's just, like I said, man, the Dreaming City is just an incredible area to explore. I absolutely love the Dreaming City.
Yeah, I can't wait to get there. I just, when they were talking about the Dreaming City changing and things happening after the raid, I was like, all right, cool. There might be, a small thing here or there, but like new missions, new strikes, like this is beefy content that is being added into this game as a part of the Dreaming City experience. And I can't wait to actually get in there and experience for myself and see what else Bungie has up their sleeve, man. I feel like we've only scratched the surface on what these guys are planning for year 2 of Destiny 2. And it's really exciting thinking about what's going on. So moving off of The Last Wish, kind of. So there's things that are being discovered in this game as the weeks go by, Brent. Like, people are finding new things like, oh, this is in the game, we can do this now. One of the things that's come up over this past week is this idea of a legendary weapon with a static god roll or a static exotic roll on it. And this came Rick Kakis put out a video earlier this week. He came across an auto rifle in the raid that dropped, not like the other auto rifles that he's gotten in the raid, of the same exact one. Like, he has in his video, he put up 2 different versions of this gun. He was like, here's the first version of this gun I got. It's got random rolls, and these are the perks that it dropped with. And here's the other version of this gun I got. So apparently there are these exotic style rolls for legendary weapons in this game, and a lot of it seems to be linked to the raid. I'm not sure if this is exclusively a raid thing, if these things are going to show up elsewhere, but these guns are dropping with a full masterwork, so a level 10 masterwork, no need to upgrade it. It's a static roll that's basically a god roll for that type of weapon, and they even seem to have special perks in some cases. Like the video that Kakis put out was for the Age-Old Bond, which is an auto rifle that's in the Last Wish raid, and this thing dropped with the perk called 4th Time's a Charm.
Oh boy!
And with this perk, it's like triple tap, but for auto rifles, with repeated shots, precision shots with the auto rifle returns multiple rounds back to the magazine. And this particular auto rifle is of the 360 rounds per minute class, which is the most which is the highest damaging archetype in the game. There's only a couple auto rifles in Destiny 2 that have this archetype. It's a very rare archetype. So this has the highest impact, and it has this 4th Time's a Charm, which is extremely deadly. You can just imagine the possibilities with a perk like 4th Time's a Charm. And this is one of those perks that I personally haven't seen on another gun. I don't know that it's available on any other gun outside of this exotic god roll that's dropping in the raid for this weapon. And so I think this is a super cool idea, Brent. I'm interested to see more about this, like how wide-ranging this is, if there is indeed like special perks that you can only get on these special rolls of these guns. What do you think about this idea, though, man, and making these legendary weapons just special?
It's like a hybrid. It's like the mix. It's like a legendary with a good set of roll, but then it's like just underneath exotic, but it has some of the exotic perks to it. That's pretty rad, dude. Again, that just makes it even more rare. You know, and so
Yeah.
when you get that gun and you're like, hey man, check this out, and a lot of people can be like, they can say, I don't have that gun. I've never even come close to that gun. I don't know anybody else with that gun, and that just
Yeah.
makes weapons feel more special. Like you're gonna think twice about even think about sharding a gun like that. You will save that gun. You're gonna do whatever you can to infuse it to rank it up. I mean, that's just gonna be your baby. That's gonna be the gun you're gonna hold and sleep close with you, and that's fantastic. Dude. I think that's really cool that they snuck something like that in there.
And it adds another layer of depth to the system. So we've got the random rolls back, and that makes getting weapons exciting again. Every time you get one, you're in there looking at the stats, seeing what's going on. But not only do we have random rolls now, but now we have this random exotic roll, whatever the official name of this is going to be. I have no idea. We have this random exotic roll that's dropping on these legendaries as well, which is a whole nother layer to this. So now you're out there wondering, all right, well, this gun I just got, does this have an exotic roll available for? Like, can I get this, like the ultimate roll on this gun? Like, let me go out and search for that now. So I think that's a super cool idea. It would make sense if it's limited to like the raid weapons. That would give you an extra incentive to go and work on getting those guns. But don't know how wide ranging this is now. But it's just one of those things, man. It's the community's getting in there, they're figuring things out, and I don't think this is the last thing that we're gonna see where it's like, oh, the community figured this out. In fact, I believe they're investigating this secret room in the raid right now that somebody's found. So there's some kind of mysterious room that people are trying to get to the bottom of. So I think it's only a matter of time before we know how the Destiny community works before they figure this out. But there's stuff like that going on, man. And I just everybody loves that stuff about Destiny. It's one of the coolest things about this game. All these little secret things that Bungie throws into this game and just lets the community kind of figure out. So we'll be on our lookout to see. Have you heard about this secret room?
This is the first I've heard of it, but you better believe I'm going to look it up after this.
Apparently, there's a secret room that people are looking into to try and figure out. So we'll see what that's all about at some point. Maybe we'll step foot into that secret room.
Hopefully,
we'll see what happens. Another interesting topic of discussion this week, Brent, I want to get your thoughts on, is this idea of armor in Destiny 2 Forsaken. So things have changed considerably in terms of infusion and how you bring up your gear in Forsaken. And this has led to many people not being able to wear the armor that they want to wear, or not being able to wear like a matching set of armor and really deck their Guardian out the way they want to. And there's a couple things that go into this. One, it's very expensive to infuse items. It costs masterwork cores, legendary shards, glimmer, planetary materials. Like all of this goes in anytime you want to infuse something. So it's not as simple as it was in Destiny 2 Vanilla, where you get a new item, you're like, this is cool, but the thing I got is way cooler, and I really like the way this looks, or I like the way this gun shoots. I'm just get infused into this one, move on with my day, and beyond. Nah, not that way anymore. Now you're like, all right, do I have the planetary materials? Do I really want to part with the masterwork cores in order to put it into this? So there's a lot to think about when you infuse stuff. And the other part of this is now armor has random rolls. So random rolls, and so now it's not just, all right, this piece of armor does the same thing as every other piece of armor in their game. Now you got stuff dropping with hand cannon reserves and rocket reserves and this and that, and that melee energy recharges quicker, whatever the case may be. There's a wealth of different perks that can drop on your armor now. So now it becomes even more difficult to get the version of the armor that you want, where you're like, all right, I want this perk on this piece of armor because I love the way this looks. So there's a discussion in the Destiny community right now about this idea of being able to take the cosmetic look of your armor in a process known as transmogrification. So this is something that is apparently from like Diablo. But basically, it's changing the look of your armor into the look of something else. So if you get a piece of armor and it's got the perks that you want on it, you finally found that role, but it's a piece of armor that you hate the way it looks, and you want it to look like this other piece of armor that you love. There's some talk right now that people would love the ability to take that piece of armor that you love and convert that role into that piece, because people want to look cool.
So for example, you're saying, like, if I get the Wing Contender, which is the Crucible chest piece, and I'm like, okay, I love the perks on this, but I wish it was on my Vigil of Heroes chess piece from Zavala for the Vanguard. You're talking about being able to change it from the Wing Contender to the Vigil of Heroes.
Yes.
Okay.
Being able to basically change the look of your armor.
Gotcha.
Being able to convert it from that piece into the piece that you really like. So I want to get your thoughts on that, Brent. There's there's obviously a lot of layers to this, but do you think that's a change that would be worth looking into in the future?
That's not bad because there are a lot of different. All right, Jacob, have a good night, buddy. Always good to see you in there, man.
See you, Jacob.
But no, it's that's something that I want. I'd have to probably see it in motion and see how it affects the actual experience of Destiny. I always like going out there and finally you get that one armor piece that drops and it's got the perks on it that you like, and you're like, oh god, finally I've earned it. I don't know if this feels like it's kind of like a cheat, like a little bit of a cheat, but there are so many different armor sets. And, there are some sets that I just don't really care about. It'd be cool if I could switch it over. I mean, I get that. But, if you want that one Crucible piece that's really good, then go play the Crucible. I mean, just go out there and grind away. I mean, that's the point of the game. But, like I said, there's a lot of chess pieces out there. There's a lot of different pieces of armor. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm indifferent on it. I'd have to see just how much it takes away from the Destiny experience, but we'll see.
There's just, I think the other part of it and the people that are interested in this is that there's so many different roles on these pieces of armor now.
Right.
So there's with all of the different types of weapons
there's so many different like little perks that pop up. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. There's all of these different reserves, all of these different things that work with your class abilities, all these different things that affect all these aspects of your character. And there's who knows how many combinations of things that you can get on armor at this point. There's a lot. So there's just some thought in the community that, look, a big part of this game for a lot of people is the way their Guardian looks. So when they come across a chess piece that they really like, man, we just grinded. We got a full set of Iron Banner armor. We got all the ornaments for it. It looks badass. Like, I want to rock this on my character. But like, this helmet has these perks, which I would rather have over what I have on my helmet right now.
Right.
This chess piece has these perks, but this other one I got doesn't look nearly as cool, but it has all the stuff I want on it. So do I sacrifice the look of it for the functionality? So I mean, when you think about it, you could theoretically play Destiny 2 every single hour of every single day and maybe never get a full set of armor that has the perks that you want for the look that you want for your Guardian. So I do think that there's something to this, and I do think that this is something that Bungie may take a looking into at some point. But I'm with you, and I want to see all the different sides to this. I don't fully understand how this would work, but I think with all of the different combinations for the armor in the game right now, and the look of your Guardian being something that so many people would get into, especially with vanilla Destiny 2, Brent. So with all of the armor having the same perks and everything, like, we really got accustomed to decking out our character to look a certain way.
Right.
Like, we could go in there and just rock the whole entire Iron Banner armor set, and it was cool because we didn't worry about losing any perks or anything. Like, it was just that. And obviously that's a much more shallow system, and I would give all of that up to have the random perks that we have now in the armor. So I'm totally on board with that. If we never got transmogrification in Destiny 2, I wouldn't give a damn. I would be totally happy with the random rolls on the armor pieces as well. But I do think there's a little something to this. I do think this is not the end of this conversation, and I do think at some point in the future this might be worth implementing into this game, because the look of your Guardian, I think, is such a big part of this game. So that is transmogrification. A couple other things that we want to touch on before we wrap up here, Brent. So Breakthrough is coming onto the scene next week. So this is a very interesting new competitive Crucible mode that we talked about a few weeks back when it was first unveiled. But essentially, it's a round-based, objective-based mode where you've got two teams that rush to the middle to try and secure this control point, and whoever controls that first point, they get access to this break or whatever, and they have to try to hack into the other team's vault or whatever it is. And at that point, once whatever team gets the breaker, the other team becomes the defender. They have to defend their vault and try to keep the breaker out of it. That goes on that way for 3 rounds. If you defend the vault, you win the round. If you break into the vault, you win the round, depending on what your role is. So it sounds cool. It looks cool. Even more interesting to me, and I didn't realize this was going to happen, but there's a wealth of new Crucible maps that are coming along with this mode.
Yeah, there is. Yep.
So not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 new Crucible maps are 5 if you have PlayStation.
Oh, that's right, the PlayStation.
There's a PlayStation exclusive map as well. 5 new Crucible maps are arriving with Breakthrough on Tuesday next week, which is crazy. So these will obviously be designed around Breakthrough. I don't know if these will be available in the other modes, but I assume they will. I assume these will be playable in Clash, Control, and all that kind of stuff, and they'll have a version of that as well. But we've got Equinox, which looks to take place in that that area where you have the Trials of the Nine matches. Where is that? Where is that, by the way?
Where do you go to actually turn in for the Trials of the Nine? What's that area called?
The Spire.
I believe that's the area.
Yeah, so that's the Spire. We've got Firebase Echo, which is of course in the EDZ. We've got the Citadel, which Dreaming City. I'm guessing that's where that takes place.
What's
and
it
that's
called?
The Citadel.
Yes.
And that's the map we saw that they debuted when they showed us Breakthrough.
Yep.
So cool looking map.
It's a sweet looking map, dude.
Yeah. Then we've got the Convergence, which is going on right now in Iron Banner. There will be a version of that available for Breakthrough as well.
That's a great map, dude.
Yeah. And then Gambler's Ruin, which is a very cool looking map. That's the PlayStation exclusive map as well. Brent, your thoughts on not only getting 5 new Crucible maps next Tuesday, but having Breakthrough finally arrive and we get our hands on this mode that we're super excited about.
Yeah, this mode looked really, really good. When we saw that debut trailer, the gameplay that we saw, it looks to be a very intense battle, especially at the center point. It's going to be hotly contested, and then whoever takes it, they press on to the vault from the enemy team and try to secure it. Now, obviously that's closer to the enemy spawn, but the enemies when they're spawning, their spawn time is actually increased. So it's not as simple, because a lot of people were concerned, if you're the attacking team and you have to hack that terminal, it's going to be really tough if they just constantly keep respawning right there. But if you lose that middle point and your vault is unlocked for hacking, your spawn time is actually increased on the defending team. So you have to be very, very careful and be very, very smart about what you do, because if you die, you're going to be waiting longer, which gives the enemy team a better chance to capture. So it's going to be a game that requires a lot of communication, a lot of teamwork. It's going to fit in great in the competitive playlist. I'm really excited to jump in there and play Breakthrough. I think this mode looks really fantastic. It could be a lot of fun. And anytime you get these objective-based modes, that's my jam, dude. I love objective-based stuff. And this looks to be another fantastic mode for Destiny 2.
Yeah, looking forward to playing it. Can't wait to play next week. I'm sure we'll get in there. We'll play some, maybe stream it. I'm going to be very interested to see, like you said, if they struck that proper balance. Like, does it feel just as good to be a defender as it does to be an attacker? Or should it? Like, if you get to that control point and you become the attacker, like, shouldn't you have a little bit of an advantage going into the next round? I don't know. We'll have to see how it all plays out when it's all said and done. But yeah, super curious to see how that works out. A couple other things you want to mention here: the Gambit free trial will return this weekend. So once again, Destiny 2 is free on PlayStation Plus right now. So if you are a member and you have not picked the game up yet, pick it up. And then this weekend, starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, hop in there and play Gambit free all weekend. Gambit is a fantastic mode. What a cool game mode. I can't wait to get in there and play more of it. So if you have not participated in Destiny 2 Forsaken or had a chance to play Gambit yet, please download this free trial, go play it, and I dare you to come back and tell me that it wasn't a good time.
I gotta get into that because I actually just got the final piece of the Gambit set of gear.
Oh, really?
And there's an actual pursuit where if you win a match wearing all the gear, you get a powerful engram. So yeah, nice. I actually just got the final piece. I need one more piece for the Vigil of Heroes, and I need one more piece for the Wing Contender so I can get those pursuits knocked out for both. I think you have to do is it a Vanguard strike? You have to do a strike with all the gear on, and then you have to win a match of Crucible with the Crucible gear on to get powerful engrams. So, yeah, lots of stuff in there to get lots of powerful engrams. There's a lot of ways to earn powerful engrams.
Yeah, like you said, man, the more you play, the more things you discover, the more opportunities you have to get this powerful gear. So I think that's really neat. Perhaps even more important, though, Brent, than the free Gambit trial weekend, there's a double Valor weekend coming up here. During Iron Banner weekend, no less. Yep. So, same time, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time on September 21st and running actually until 10 a.m. Pacific time on September 25th, so until the reset. Double Valor will be active in all Crucible playlists, including Iron Banner. As Bungie says, get out there and make Shaxx proud.
No problem.
So, I will be resting up these next few days because I want to participate in the Double Valor weekend. I want to play a lot of Iron Banner. In Destiny 2 Warmind, when they were running the the double XP, the double Valor weekends. Like those are a lot of fun. I was getting a lot of points quickly, so it's really beneficial to get in there and rank that stuff up, especially if you're trying to get some of these Crucible quests out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this or Crucible rewards. This is gonna be something that you're definitely gonna want to be a part of, and I want to be a part of that. So last thing we want to touch on here, Brent. So one of the, I think, admirable things that Bungie's been doing since Forsaken has been released is they have been on top of the issues with this game. We have already had 4 patches since the release of Forsaken, whether it's a hot fix, whether it's a regular fix, whatever the case may be. They are constantly putting out updates to this game. Whenever something's found, especially if it's like a high priority issue, they're getting in there, they are knocking this stuff out, they're releasing the hot fix, and we're moving on with our day. So they've done fixed a lot of stuff over the last few weeks. Couple things I want to note here in particular. So one of the things in the last update is they went in there and they tweaked the Ace of Spades quest. So the Ace of Spades quest no longer requires defeating enemy invaders in Gambit, but can now instead be completed by defeating either combatants or enemy invaders with hand cannons in Gambit matches, which completely changes the scope of that quest. So that was something that people were looking at, was like, I mean, you don't have many chances to defeat an invader in Gambit with a hand cannon.
No.
Because, for one, you're there on a team, and when somebody invades, if you don't attack the invader as a team, your team will be wiped out.
Yep.
So you have to get together as a team and go fight this thing. So only like the most coordinated of teams could put together a plan where one of their members was killing the invader with the hand cannon. So it was a little bit of a tough task. So I'm glad that Bungie got in there and fixed it. One of the other things that's interesting here, Brent, is Edge Transit. So
jeez, oh man.
This is a running joke in the Destiny community right now. But since the launch of Destiny 2 Forsaken, we have heard player feedback regarding the aggressive drop rates of the Edge Transit grenade launcher. Our investigation has confirmed that this weapon is dropping more frequently than intended. And we are pursuing a fix for a future update. So I think it's funny that they've acknowledged this, and yes, a update is coming in the future. Edge Transit will stop dropping every other drop for you, so that you'll be able to get something else from this at some point in the future.
I think I've gotten every variation of Edge Transit with every perk set. Like, I think I have the God version of it, but it's just, every time I get a job, I'm like, oh, there's Edge Transit. Cool.
Gotcha. One of the other interesting things here to note is activity reconnection has been disabled in Gambit to allow for faster backfilling of lopsided teams. So, whereas the competitive playlist, you can now reconnect to those matches if you get disconnected. They've removed that ability from Gambit because they want to be able to backfill those quickly and get those lopsided teams out of the way. So I think that change makes sense. And then offering to the Oracle has been moved to the Pursuits inventory and is no longer erroneously removed when the player fast travels. So that is something that a lot of people have been asking about. So there's kind of the basics, some of the updates. But go on to the Bungie blog. There's a few updates that have released this week. Read the patch notes, see everything that's changed. Those are kind of some of the main things I wanted to point out. Anything else stick out to you, Brent, in those patches that you want to mention?
Dude, I read through that whole thing, and the Ace of Spades was the one thing that stood out. I mean, look, and I mean, I am kind of bummed about it because that will make the Ace of Spades a little bit less rare. I mean, a lot of more people were going to have it, but man, that thing was really tough. It was extremely tough to go into Gambit with and have a hand cannon that was high enough level, because power matters in Gambit. And so, if you didn't have a high enough powerful hand cannon, you were really at a disadvantage at trying to get this thing. And like you said, you had to really coordinate with a team. And most of the time, if you're not in there with a bunch of friends or team, you're not talking to anybody, and it's really hard to do that. So, I can see why they made that change. It'll still be a tough one to complete, but not nearly as tough.
Yeah, definitely. So, with that, Brent, that is everything that we want to talk about in this episode of Tower Talk. So a lot of stuff going on in the Destiny community, a lot of stuff going on in Forsaken right now. I just think the bottom line is right now, dude, Destiny is in a spectacular place right now. I mean, the buzz around this game is palpable. People from all corners of the gaming community are singing its praises, but most importantly, the hardcore Destiny community is singing the praises of Forsaken. I can't tell you how many tweets I've read or how many articles I've read about people just incredibly excited about what Forsaken has brought to the table. Destiny is probably, Brent, in a better position than it's ever been in its 4-year history to this point, because not only have they taken all the things that they've learned over the last 4 years, but they've built on that and created something that's even better than what we had in Destiny 1 at this point. And it's really exciting, man. It's great as a huge fan of this game to be playing this game at this point in time. And I can't wait to get over this sickness so I can sit down, play some Iron Banner, get to the Dreaming City, do all the stuff that I need to do in this game. But Destiny, man, what can you say about this game? This is going to be all consuming for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I got a long weekend starting tomorrow, and I am going to be hopping into Iron Banner tomorrow. So if anybody's watching, whether you're watching live or if you're watching video on demand, look for Ben and I. We will be playing Iron Banner all weekend. If you want to team up, add us on PSN. I'm the Dude 79. He's Piccolo 930, and we'll roll with anybody, man. So if you're watching and you want to play some, let us know, and we'll definitely roll through some Iron Banner because we'll be playing it all weekend. We got a lot to do.
Yeah. So you ended up being sick tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to feel too good tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, you look like you're coming down with something. So
I'm a little, I got whatever you got.
I hear it. Yeah, it's coming through the mic. Yeah, so that is going to do it for this episode of Tower Talk. Thank you to everybody who stopped by on the chat. We appreciate it. Love having you guys here. Love interacting with you. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. Like Brent mentioned, you can follow us. Twitter handles underneath here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you always know when we go live. We'll be back next week with another episode of Tower Talk, 10 p.m.-ish Eastern, here on Thursday night, right here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Other than that, be on the lookout for lots of streams from us, probably Destiny related, in the near future here and over the weekend. And anything else, Brent?
I think that's it, dude. Let's wrap it up.
All right. Thanks again to everybody. We'll see you guys on the battlefield. Good night, Guardians.
See you guys.